Welcome back to the channel for another lap guide. The Nations Cup show rolls on and now we are travelling to the Nurburgring for round 3, scheduled to take place on the 18th of February. Join me as I take us through all the information you need to know, along with some tips to help you start as high up the grid as possible. There are some interesting changes to the regulations of this race which we will go through shortly, so stay tuned so you don't miss them. Let's dive straight in. As always, we'll start with the race information. Here we have 20 laps, 16 cars in the race with a rolling start. There is a 5-minute qualifier ahead of the race. In the qualifier, fuel consumption is off but is set to ×2 in the race. Tyre wear rate is set to a chunky 5 times in both the qualifier and the race. The regulations are only one usable dry tyre is available, and that is the racing medium. The intermediate and wet tyres are also available just in case the weather turns. Car category is Group 3, but stay tuned for some more information on that. Wide body, nitrous or overtake are prohibited. Now we have specified cars for this race, which are the Ferrari 296 GT3 2023, the Lamborghini Huracan GT3 2015, the McLaren 650S GT3 2015, the Porsche 911 GT3 R992 2022. Let me know in the comments which car you are planning to race in. Under car restrictions, we have BOP set to mid-speed, car settings, adjustable brake balance only. For race settings, DR and SR are both affected. There is light mechanical damage. Minimum number of pit stops is set to 2. Please don't forget this during the race as it will attract a penalty. Track limits are set to normal. And finally, penalty settings. Shortcut penalty is set to weak. There is no wall collision penalty. Colliding with other cars is penalised, and cutting the pit lane line on entry or exit attracts a penalty. Today's lap we are going to be looking at is, at the time of this recording, the 3rd best time on the global leaderboard of a 1 minute 54.785. Now, with all the formalities out of the way, let's get out on track. Okay, so as we come down the long pit straight here at the Nurburgring, our first braking marker is going to be where the concrete turns into grass. Just as that leaves your screen, you're going to want to brake in a straight line, and when we reach this line is where we're going to start to turn into the hairpin, shifting all the way down to first gear. We want to clip the apex, but just be careful. The closer you get to the bollard on the inside of the corner there is a bit of a bump on the way out of the corner. So if you get too close to that bollard, it will unsettle the car and you'll probably end up spinning. Now we're going to exit the hairpin in first gear, full acceleration, shift up to second gear. Then there's a building on the right hand side. Once the start of that building reaches the edge of your screen, you're going to turn back towards the left hander here. Now this corner is all about patience. So once we reach this relief road, we're going to lift when we get to the second part of the relief road, allow the car to coast round, and then we hit this marshal's box. Once that gets to the edge of your screen, you're going to dab on the brakes just to settle the car down. And then once this tower in the distance gets to sort of the inside of your left headlight, you're going to start to accelerate, allow the car to drift to the right, use all the track and some of the curb. And then for this next left-hander, we're going to turn in before we brake here. So once the arm code turns into the blue and white tyre barrier, that's where we're going to start to turn into the left. And then once the lamppost gets to the edge of your screen, that's where we're going to start to brake for this corner. We need to get all the braking done early, so we're going to shift all the way down to first gear. We want to get as much rotation around this corner as possible because it's really important that on the way out, we are as far across to the left-hand side of the track as possible to make the right-hander easier. And as we immediately turn back to the right here, we're aiming to get our left wheels inside the white line of the curb here. We really can attack this corner. You're going to see as we approach, we can get both of our right wheels completely on the grey webbing plastic stuff, and both of our left-hand wheels are fully on the curb inside the white line. And as we go across the curb, we're aiming for this lighter green painted piece of tarmac. You can really abuse the track limits here. Well, there virtually is none. So ignore the white line, use all the left side as you can. Cut the grass on the way out, straight down to the next set of corners, where we're going to find our next braking marker just after the relief road where the white line restarts. We're going to brake, and then we're going to turn in pretty much immediately here, shifting from fourth to third, stay in third gear. Where the grass turns to concrete on the right hand side, that's where we're going to accelerate. We want to try and keep to the left hand side as much as possible. Where the curb restarts on the right hand side, that's our braking marker. And when you reach the last red square of the curb on the left, we're going to turn into this corner where we're going to shift down to first gear. And then we're looking for these orange squares in the stands at the back there. Once they start to get to the left side of your screen, you're going to shift up to second gear and immediately accelerate around this corner using as much as the curb on the left hand side without going into the gravel. And we have the Dunlop Tower on the right hand side. Just before that reaches the edge of your screen, you're going to start to brake, bring the car across to the right hand side. But where the grass turns more to gravel on the left, just before that reaches the edge of the screen, you're really going to commit to turn into this corner. Shift down to first gear. We've got a couple of choices for acceleration markers here. We've got where the tarmac turns into gravel. Once that reaches the center of your car, that's one. Or if you prefer, where the curb starts and it's just on the inside of your right headlight. Once either of those two markers have been hit, you can start to accelerate round, shift up into second gear, take as much of the curb on the left as you can. And as we come up to the Michael Schumacher S, there will be no braking and no lifting on these corners. So we're going to mount the curb on the right here. And where the fence ends on the right hand side, that's where we're going to turn in. We're going to follow the tyre marks as best we can, take most of the curb on the left, be really aggressive with the curb on the right hand side. And we're going to come down this relatively short straight. We've actually got 3 brake markers here. We've got where the light grey blocks turn to tarmac on the right. Once you go over that, you're going to start to brake. Or we have the bush on the right hand side. When that gets to the edge of your screen, you're going to start to brake. Or we have the Marshall hut on the left where we've got the white wall. Once that gets to the edge of your screen, you're going to start to brake. So driver's choice, whichever one you choose. And as we do brake, we're going to look for this white line across the track. That is our turn-in point for this corner. We want to really attack the first curb here to get as much rotation as possible because we need to stay to the left for the second part of this corner. Now the masts on the left hand side, once you can only see 2 of those, so once the third one has gone past your screen, that's where you're going to brake. You're going to come down to second gear, you're going to go across to the right hand side of this corner, you're going to accelerate out, back up into third, and as always use as much of the curb without going into the gravel as possible. And as we travel down to the infamous chicane where many a lap has been lost, but we're going to get through this together, trust me. So our braking markers here, we've got 2 actually. There is the 100 board on the right, or where the drain just kinks slightly. Just before you hit either of those 2, you're going to brake in a straight line. And then there's an orange painted section of the barrier on the right hand side there. Once that reaches the edge of your screen, you're going to turn in, shift all the way down to first gear, and then shifting back up to second before we hit the first part of the chicane. We really want to attack this corner. Just notice how much of our car is on the curb here. So we've got our right side wheels fully over the white lines. Our left hand wheels are fully on the grass on the left there, really taking advantage of these track limits. And as we come across the first curb here, we're going to use this bollard as a reference point. We want to aim to hit our left headlight into the bollard as we take the line out of this corner. Really being aggressive on the curb again. We've got our left hand wheels remaining on the red and white curb to avoid any track limit penalties, but our right side wheels are completely on the green rubber webbing there. And as we exit the chicane, we're going to drive down to the last corner, shift up to third gear, and we've got a braking marker on the left hand side, which is the Portaloo. Once that reaches the edge of the screen, you're going to brake. And then just behind where the marshals are stood there, there's a red painted section of barrier. That is your turn-in point. It is unclear right now if they are in a queue for the bathroom, but in any case, just remember, Portaloo brake, red barrier turn. And as we brake for this corner, we're going to shift all the way down to first gear. We're looking out for the leftmost BMW sign there. Once that reaches the left side of your screen, you're going to shift up to second gear. Be careful on the throttle as you accelerate out. Use all the curb on the left-hand side. And that is a 154.785. Well, there we have it, a lap around the Nurburgring GP layout ahead of round 3 of the Nations Cup. Let me know in the comments if this has helped you out, and feel free to drop by after the race to let me know how you got on. Have fun and race well. It would be great if you could consider subscribing to the channel so you never miss another lap guide. And why not drop into one of our Gran Turismo live streams? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.